rebel force has penetrated the shield and landed on Endor.
This is where the fun begins.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
This is Rebel Force Radio.
Your source for the Force.
Star Wars news and commentary.
With Jason Swank and Jimmy Mack.
I've seen Star Wars 500 times.
Star Wars #1!
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
Now it's time for Rebel Force Radio.
We would be honored if you would join us.
All right, welcome back. Rebel Force Radio. Great to be with you once more, breaking down all the latest Star Wars news. And I guess this is just the way it is with franchise entertainment anymore. You know, movie or TV show or something comes out, everybody watches it or binges it. And it's like, okay, what's the next thing? And we got the next thing. Star Wars Starfighter, we all know, in theaters next May. So eyeballs and attention already trained on that. And Mando and Grogu have only been in the theater now here for a little, 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks, something like that. But boy, time moves quick these days, especially when you are trying to sort of harness the attention of the masses. And even for a brand as huge and mammoth as Star Wars, it's very, very difficult. It's like, what have you done for me lately? I think that's kind of the way it is. So we're going to check out what Star Wars has planned for us with some interview highlights from the director of Star Wars Starfighter, Shawn Levy. Also, if you saw this, now this I thought was very interesting. They, to sort of goose the box office for Mando and Grogu and get that repeat viewing, they have teamed up with Theater Ears to actually put together a film commentary, much akin to what you would get on a DVD or a Blu-ray or something like that. This is, of course, from Jon Favreau, the director. And so you can go and you download this app, put in the old earbuds, Mando and Grogu starts on the movie theater screen, and you hit play, and you can be listening to Jon Favreau watching the movie along with you, which is pretty cool. So we're going to be breaking a little bit of that down. As well as, of course, your feedback. And if there's time, as always, Star Wars in pop culture. So lots of stuff to talk about here on Rebel Force Radio. So good to be with you once more, as I said. And if introductions are in order by Rebel Force Radio, I mean me. My name is Jason. And with me, as always, my good friend and yours from Chicago, Jimmy Mack.
Hey, Jason. Hey, Star Wars fans. We are back. And back with a vengeance. Well, maybe not a vengeance, It's like revenge of the swank. No,
maybe we're maybe not a true vengeance. Maybe just I don't know. Back with impunity. I don't know. What are we back with?
Back with good attitudes and
a good attitude, and I think that's so important because there's enough people out there in this world, not just in Star Wars, but everywhere else, with bad attitudes. Sometimes you got to bring your own weather to these things, right?
Well, as Yoda said, when Luke Skywalker asked him, what's in that cave over there? Yoda said, only what you take with you.
Yes.
And of course, I think that's a pretty important message to let you know that sometimes the thing weighing you down the most is your own baggage. So
that's right.
That's our Yoda word of wisdom for this show. His words of wisdom, only what you take with you. So hopefully you'll be taking nothing but a bunch of shits and giggles with you as this episode of RFR moves along into listener feedback. And I think we have a call here from someone who wants to talk Mandalorian and Grogu.
Let's do it.
You must contact me.
Play back the entire message.
What message?
Message after the message.
The Emperor commands you to make contact with him. It's a trick. Send no reply.
Hey guys, Jeremy from Austin, Texas here. Wanted to give a couple thoughts about the Mandalorian and Grogu. It was a lot of fun. It reminded me of like one of the Ewok movies and a lot like A New Hope, just like a fun adventure. And I've heard, a lot of differing opinions. Some people saying, hey, this is what Star Wars has always been, just a fun time. It doesn't need anything else, anything special. And then I've heard other people, like Kyle said on the show, that it was missing that component of connecting to the larger mythology, teasing what's coming next. But I wanted to kind of present an alternate idea, is that I actually don't think that those things make a movie memorable. I think what it does is it gets people excited about the next movie. It gets people, jacked up and ready to go see the next thing. But it actually diminishes this current movie, because once you get that thing that's promised in the next movie, that moment is meaningless on a rewatch of this movie. So I actually disagree that that is something that this movie needed. I don't think it would need to be excited about the next thing. What I do think this movie missed, though, is that emotional moment, that really interesting or innovative moment that makes you want to rewatch the movie over and over again. I remember being a kid and loving Return of the Jedi, partly because of all the forest and the speeder bike chase, but also because of the moment when Luke and Vader were on the Death Star, and Vader says, you have a sister. If you can't be turned, then perhaps she will. And it unleashes Luke, and he starts attacking, and it's the first time we ever had music in a lightsaber fight, and it was so emotional. And even as a kid, I clocked that as something that was like really huge for the characters. And those are the things, those are like the emotional moments that get through to you, like deep at the soul level, that make you want to rewatch movies over and over again. And they mean something, because they're not just pointing at the next thing or something else in the story. There is something illuminating about the characters you're watching right now that make it memorable. And I think that that's something that was kind of missing from Mandalorian and Grogu. Sure, they kind of tried to do it with Mando dying, but we all knew he wasn't going to die. And so I think that we could have had something, learned something new about him or Grogu, found out something new about Grogu's past, or something really more emotional or interesting that would have been something that would have made this movie a huge thing that people love and want to go back and rewatch over and over. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Talk to you soon.
Boy, I am so glad that Jeremy brought up this, because I just watched a video, sort of related, unrelated, the other day by a friend of Rebel Force Radio here, Scott Toy Guru Nightlick, and I highly recommend his YouTube channel, Spectre Creative. Scott is a veteran of the toy industry and really knows his stuff about popular culture and how big franchises worked on Star Wars as a brand for Jax back in the day. And he was talking, Jim, about iconic characters from what they call the long summer. And that long summer is like the 1960s through the early 1990s. So I'm just going to throw out some characters at you. Fred Flintstone, Bugs Bunny, all the Looney Tunes characters, all the Hanna-Barbera characters, Yogi Bear. Even getting into that sort of early 90s, as you were far out of sort of like kid culture by that point, but things like DuckTales and what the 90s kids are into. And Scott was making, I think, some really good observations about why those characters have sort of died off to a large degree. And I started thinking about it in context of Star Wars. And one of the points that he brought out was, you take a character like Bugs Bunny. You didn't, as a kid, seek out Bugs Bunny. You were in a situation where you found Bugs Bunny. You turned on the TV after school or on a Saturday morning. You found Bugs Bunny. He was ubiquitous. He was sort of everywhere. Mm-hmm. And one of the hallmarks of that type of discovery is rewatchability and having something just kind of play over and over and over again. And I think that is something that franchise entertainment, or any kind of entertainment these days, is somewhat lacking. The reason that so many of us from the original Star Wars generation you could wake us up out of a dead sleep and we could recite, line by line these films, is because we watched them so many times. And one of the things I think we're missing is, and I'm talking about myself, and I'm also, I think I'm going to make some assumptions about even some of the younger Star Wars fans out there that maybe grew up with Clone Wars and some of the early Disney era stuff like Rogue One and Force Awakens, is I don't think that we've ever had the time, particularly in the Disney era, to watch and rewatch and rewatch and rewatch these films and these entries into the saga to where they are so familiar and so ingrained and become sort of bigger than what they really are, sort of in our memory and our thoughts and all of that. And so in some ways, I think that it's really unfair for us to compare the stuff that's coming out today with the stuff that came out in the 70s and the 80s and even in the 90s and early 2000s with the prequel trilogy, because our consumption of media, I don't want to get too deep, but I mean, our consumption of media is just so different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can make it the way it was back in the old days if you want to, and really just obsess over a specific Star Wars series or film. I know I get that same old rush when I go back and revisit certain Star Wars shows and movies, episodes of the Clone Wars. I just rewatched Mandalorian Season 3. Guess what? Not as bad as we remember it being. I mean,
interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Not as bad as we remember it being.
Is it because on the rewatch you're not focused on what you're not getting or what's not happening in the show, and so it's a more relaxed viewing and you can soak up what is there?
Yeah. And you spend time obsessing over the coolest things as opposed to some of the things that don't necessarily meet your standards as a Star Wars fan. And Lord, everyone's standards are through the roof now because we're not actually looking at a film like The Mandalorian and Grogu and judging it on what it is and what it's trying to accomplish. Everyone is so focused on what it represents and what it lacks. And I mean, lacks even isn't, it's just not not judging the film for what it actually is. And I've always said on these podcasts, I prefer to talk about the Star Wars that is and not the Star Wars we wish it was. I mean, sure, it's great to do those sort of things, and especially when we're surrounded by things like action figures and whatnot. But I'm not sitting down like I did when I was a child and playing with my toys. I collect them and I display them, but that's as far as it goes. All right, granted, every once in a while I'll grab an X-Wing and run around the basement. Pew, pew, pew. But you have to just to kind of get that, just to kind of energize yourself a little bit and get the blood flowing. But it's a different relationship. And I love the creativity that a lot of fans have, especially when they talk about what they wish happened in a Star Wars movie. And during the sequel trilogy era, we really got accustomed to talking about the Star Wars that isn't, but the Star Wars that we wish it was. Right. It's a practice that really began in the prequel era. And look at the prequels. People love the prequels because the younger people always allowed the prequels to stand on their own and to represent a certain era of Star Wars and Star Wars fandom for that matter. But the things today aren't allowed that anymore because it's much more disposable. We don't have those 3-year wait times between films where we would just watch those VHS tapes and DVDs over and over and over again. Everything's so disposable now. It'll be streaming soon. So that removes the urgency for people to go to repeat viewings of The Mandalorian and Grogu in the theater, or any film for that matter. I mean, for as popular as Project Hail Mary was, how much of that box office was generated by repeat viewings? Probably not that much.
Very little, I would
people
assume,
see the movie, they get their rocks off watching the story for the first time, and that's it. They move on to the next thing. But we live here at Rebel Force Radio in a very Star Wars-centric bubble. And I really love picking these things apart and watching them 500 times. And it's just been hard to do that over the last few years because there's always something new popping up. There was one year where I think we got 3 streaming series in a single year. That's a lot. That's a lot to throw at the fan base. And while I appreciate the money that was thrown into it, this stuff really needs to have time to formulate and become a real thing other than just something with Star Wars slapped on it. And expecting then the fans to react to it as if it was something that George Lucas developed and spent 3 years of his life, or really it was his life's work. Once we got into the prequel era, you realize that George was attempting to complete his life's work by making the prequel trilogy. So what in Star Wars can compare to that? Does Dave Filoni have some sort of idea for something that's been bouncing around in his head ever since he was 20? Maybe he does. I don't know.
Yeah, it's so different now because it's no longer. I love the way you put it. It's no longer the life work of one individual, of one creator. Not to take anything away from the dozens and or hundreds of thousands, whatever, of people that helped make that vision come true. But it is George Lucas's life work, those 6 films. And what does it represent now? Does it represent a brand and an IP, or does it represent something more personal than that actually has something akin to a mission to it? And even if you look at George's motives behind the prequel trilogy, yes, there were definitely, I want to complete this story, but there were also, I also want to get the money so that I can move filmmaking to the next level. So that was also a part of it. And that, that's something, Jim, that I don't think we talk enough about, that I think there's something that was elemental to Star Wars. And maybe we didn't realize it when we were kids, but we certainly realized it as we were older and as we enjoyed the prequels, that part of Star Wars was about advancing the technology. So people went to a new Star Wars thing to see, wow, what's the latest magic trick that Hollywood has figured out, that it has learned. And that has gone. I think that makes story even more critical and crucial and important because some of those other ancillary things are gone.
Audiences are more fickle now because the technology, when you can just grab an AI program and prompt it to create a Star Wars story, of your choosing, I mean, we're there, man, and it's going to become more and more accessible and used more and more, I think. I don't know. There was a deal that Disney had with some AI company, and it went belly up.
Sure did.
Remember? Yeah. So, and it didn't even last a year or two. It was
it was months. Yeah.
So, who knows where this is all going? But everyone sees on social media, they see AI-generated Star Wars videos, and I just think it's made the audience a lot harder to touch when it comes to the creating magic on screens. I still have that little kid sense of wonder, though. I hold on to it very tightly, but I understand how audiences evolve, and in Hollywood, you push technology to the point where you can do anything you want on screen. Naturally, there's going to be a reaction to that to go in the opposite direction. And we're seeing that play out with the films like Obsession and Backrooms.
Yeah.
And they were made on a shoestring budget, and they're bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars. So it's going to be a very interesting trend. Also, the line between studio and fan is becoming thinner and thinner, where the fan becomes the creator.
Right.
So that's very interesting. And it's going to be really wild to see where that and how that evolves. So,
well, I would say that I think that I would encourage all the listeners out there, myself included, because we're always fellow travelers on this, I think, take a page out of your book and other fans that are out there that are re-experiencing some of these things. Pull that disc off the shelf, or in most cases, just fire up the Disney Plus. Rewatch Kenobi. Rewatch Mando season 3 or season 2 or season 1, and spend the time with it that you might have that you did as a kid with the prequels or the Clone Wars and watching the reruns in the summer and whatever your rewatch habits were. Re-employ them, get them fired up again, because going back and revisiting these things with, I don't want to say with lower expectations, because that's not what I'm trying to say. I think it's with not being so caught up and worried about what you're not going to see in the next 10 minutes, and more discerning of what you are seeing in the next 10 minutes. It's a very, very different mindset. And I'm certainly not pointing any fingers, because I do it too. With the first time I watched the Mandalorian and Grogu film, I was like, okay, where's Thrawn? Okay, when are they going to get to the Rebel base and we're going to see Luke or Han Solo walk by, or we're going to see Leia address? Once you get past that, then you go back and then you can relax and watch it and go, oh, I never noticed that. I noticed so many little details and enjoyed things so much more on my second viewing of the film, because all that pressure that I was feeling was gone. So definitely encourage people to go back and rewatch and re-experience and just chill out and enjoy it.
Rebel Force Radio.
I've seen Mandalorian and Grogu 4 times now, and each time I like it better than the last time. So that's a good sign. I had a lot of fun with this movie. My most recent viewing was last week. I took advantage of the Theaters app experience.
You did this?
I sure did it, yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
I went to my neighborhood theater last Saturday afternoon.
So you didn't have to find a participating theater. The tech is all in the app and your phone and your earbuds, right?
Yeah, it was really amazing. I wanted to see how all that technology worked. So I walked over to the theater for the matinee, and I had my blanket with me. I'm such an old man now at the movie theaters with the blankets. But the blanket came in handy because I took notes on my phone during the movie as I was listening to Favreau in my ears, because I wanted to report on some of the things that he revealed.
Oh, this is great.
So I was able to take the notes under the blanket so I don't bother anybody around me.
Right.
And it was really fun. I did want to see the movie in my local hometown movie theater, my neighborhood movie theater, because I love it there. And I've seen every Star Wars movie since the prequels at that movie theater. So I just had to squeeze one more in. So I saw the film in Dolby Digital, which was outstanding, probably the best way you can see it. Favreau even did an intro to the Dolby Digital presentation where he explained that this is the way this is the closest you'll ever see the movie according to the standards we want you to see the movie at.
Wow,
so it's
cool.
like when we're in the screening rooms, this is the type of stuff that we're dealing with, the Dolby Digital. And it's like concerts level volume, and it just blows your mind. Then I saw it in XD with you and a theater full of RFR listeners. It was amazing at the Valley View Cinemark in the Cleveland area. And then I saw it in IMAX, had to do the IMAX, because that's what they were hyping the most, was the IMAX. And I loved the IMAX. And then I saw it in the neighborhood theater with Favreau in my ears the whole time. And it was great. So it was, they're promoting it. See it again with the director experience. So that's exactly what it is. Commentary from director Jon Favreau. He fills the time. Favreau talks about everything. And it's timed out beautifully with the stuff happening on screen. The way it works, the way the technology works, you get the app, And you then punch in what time you're seeing the movie at and at what theater. It gives you a choice, just like looking it up on Fandango. It's very similar to that. And you click the theater. Then they want you to have your location turned on so the app knows you're actually in that theater. But to take it up even another notch, you have to have your microphone on. So the app has access to your microphone. So it's actually listening to the movie. That's how they sync everything. Yeah. That's
cool.
How everything is synced up. So there's
precise.
Absolutely no way you can listen to it anyway or anywhere else other than in the theater while the film is on. It was the coolest thing. The only thing that was a little drawback for me was I wish I had some better earbuds because I was just using the Apple AirPods, and there's a little leakage there.
Oh, so you didn't have the noise canceling going on.
Yes. So if you have that, it's a little bit better.
Okay.
So I recommend the Raycons, but I just had those AirPods that come with your phone. Do they still come with the phone, or do you still?
Well,
you have
they
to buy
did
them separately now. Yeah, they used to, back when they were wired.
Right.
But now you have to buy them separately. Boy, they got us by the short hairs, don't they? So
they don't even give you a cord anymore half the time, or a charger.
Can't even get a cord anymore. So it was just great. Again, the volume of the film was a little loud. So sometimes it would actually drown out what was going on in my ears. But most of the time it was more than satisfactory. Mm-hmm. It didn't freeze up. It didn't skip. There were no dropouts. It worked beautifully. Wow. Apparently what they use this app for, theater ears. They use it so you can see a movie and there's a choice of translations in different languages that you can pick from. So you can go see a movie here in Chicago, but if you're a Polish-speaking person or whatever, or Spanish-speaking person, you can punch up the track that will work with the film and in sync and everything. It's great.
Wow, that's very
really
cool.
Great.
It's like a universal translator.
Sort of. Sort of. But I think it's all pre-recorded stuff.
Right.
Just like when you put in a Blu-ray and you can choose from an assortment.
But the accuracy and all that is what's so amazing to me. Yeah. How it syncs. Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was free, too, I might want to throw in there. And so it's still available if you want to go see the movie again. Go see it with the director's experience from theater ears. You could just download it in the App Store. And like I said, it's free. So this is the second movie they've done. They did Project Hail Mary first. Mm-hmm. And now Mandalorian and Grogu. So I was hoping I would get some good stuff to report on. And right away, Favreau he's telling you, he's dropping deets about some behind-the-scenes stuff going on with the film. He also talks a lot from the heart about what it was like for him as a Star Wars fan to craft the film and working with these characters and stuff. So there were a bunch of different angles he took. He would give you a behind-the-scenes or a technical perspective. Really cool is occasionally he'll say, okay, that's Lateef, and then he'll cut, now that's Brendan. And
wow. That's cool.
It was a really great experience to have Jon in the ears like that. And then he did the thing, that sometimes they do where they're just basically explaining to you what's happening on screen. So here he jumps into the AT-AT, and Grogu's riding on his
I'm going to
back,
ask you
and he
real quick
opens
about
fire.
Lateef versus Brendan. Did you notice, did you start to notice any patterns as to what would be happening in the action when they would use Brendan versus Lateef? Is
I
Lateef
believe
more the fighter?
Whenever you see like the martial artistry on display, that's definitely Lateef Crowder.
Okay.
Definitely. Brendan is more of an actor than a stunt guy. He does do stunts, though. Brendan Wayne does do stunts, but he's more in like the acting scenes.
Yeah.
And Lateef is more of the action scenes.
Yeah.
So the whole showdown between Din and Embo, for example, that was all Latif. At the end of the movie when they're having their brawl in the Hutt's palace.
Well, it seems like Brendan and Latif have a great relationship with each other as well.
Yeah, and definitely Brendan Wayne has a great reputation as being a cool guy on the set. You know,
yeah.
A really chill presence, a good guy. So speaking of chilled presence, right away, right out of the box, that first scene when the Imperial warlord is shaking down those townspeople on the snow planet, Favreau reveals that they actually chilled the set so you could see the character's breath in the air. It was an actual chilled set.
That wasn't an effect when you saw their breath. Wow. Okay.
Which apparently was something he did in a cave scene way back in Iron Man. And, I was like, oh, okay, so now I'm under the blanket.
You're under the blanket.
Typing this stuff, yeah. I was like, wow, right out of the gate, he's giving us good stuff. And, they show the whole opening sequence with the credits and everything. And
now, real quick, did Hoth come up at all with the planet?
No.
Did he ever divulge the planet name? Okay.
No, that never happened.
Okay.
But yeah, so moving forward to like the opening credit sequence when they arrive at a Delphi base, that was shot, like the plates for that were shot at Laguna Beach in California. So like that's another shooting location you can go visit.
Yeah.
And the production team would use those Quonset huts, and they were inspired by Howard Hughes, because like Hughes would use those things back when he was building planes and things like the Spruce Goose was stored in one of those. And
right.
So he had like this aviation headquarters somewhere. Howard Hughes did, somewhere in California. And they said that was really what inspired the look of the Adelphi base. I thought that was interesting. Also parked at Adelphi base was the Razor Crest. And you get walked around it with Colonel Ward, who is Sigourney Weaver, and Din Djarin. They're walking around it. That thing is a 48-inch model. So I was like, wow, that's amazing. They're walking around it, and it's a model, which is so cool. They use a lot of Razor Crest physical model work in this movie, and some of that physical model work was actually shot at Skywalker Ranch in the parking lot. When they say the parking lot, I assume they mean the parking lot that's right outside the tech center there, and that's where they shot some Razor Crest stuff for the movie.
That's cool.
Which is cool. The Hutt security droids were a concept that was developed for Star Wars 1313. They're known as the droid Gatra, and it's a Star Wars criminal syndicate made up of sentient battle droids that survived the Clone Wars. So I guess this is all considered canon now.
Yeah. And I think I remember hearing something about these were the droids that were out there like fighting for like droids' rights or something along those lines.
Yeah, like kind of like that goofy droid from the Solo movie.
Yes.
And how they were, she was liberating all of those power droids and stuff on the planet Kessel.
Yeah. She was like the Sally Field Union.
Yeah, yeah. So apparently this droid Gatra, they fight for things like droid rights and emancipation and stuff like that. So, that's an interesting concept if they really wanted to dive into it. It feels a little Star Trek-y to me, but
a bit.
They remember those episodes where they would like have a hearing on whether or not Data was sentient and stuff like that. It really made you think. Really,
what is he?
So there is the connection, though, to 1313. So they're still picking away at some of those concepts that were discarded.
Never throw away a good idea over there, right?
Yeah. So, the pursuit of droid freedom is what the Gatra is all about, according to, that's not stuff that Favreau was revealing. He just revealed that they come from Star Wars 1313. So I kind of went down that rabbit hole to see what sort of information was out there about the droid Gatra. And that's what I came up with, the whole rights for droids. The twins, the Hutt twins, their lair was 100% made up of the volume, the stagecraft technology that they've been using since Mandalorian Season 1. That's like one of the rare times that they use those virtual sets created by the volume in this movie. Sometimes it was used more as a background sort of thing. So, like, they would build a set in the volume and, like, you'd look out the windows or something. That would be the volume. But the actual set itself was physically created. So sets were built for most of the film, but the volume was exclusively used for the twins' lair. And, this is an interesting. So, outside the salt bar on Shikiri.
Yes.
You see this thing go by at nighttime. It's lit up and it just sort of turns a corner and speeds away. Could be a droid, could be a speeder. But Favreau says it was an actual lighting cart used on the set. And they didn't dress it up or anything and just shot it outside of the Shikari bar because Favreau liked how it looked. And so he just added it to the street scene. It's a lighting cart, but it just looked cool and at nighttime, and the lights were on in the car.
All right.
But that's all it was. I'm like, oh, okay. That's something Lucas would have done.
Yes.
If he liked how it looked, that was good enough. There's a scene where Grogu is seen climbing up a ladder. And then he jumps in through a window into a building.
Right,
remember that?
right. And then he unlocks the door from the inside for Din to go in. Yeah, right.
Favreau liked that scene a lot because he said, this is where you're seeing that Grogu is actually an active member of the mission now. He's not just along for the ride. He's actually participating and helping out and playing a role. But more importantly, I found it fascinating that Grogu climbing the ladder was all performed physically via puppetry, and it was not CGI.
No kidding.
I think, there were puppets on ladders on the opposite sides of Grogu's ladder, and they were operating him climbing up the thing, and then they pushed him into the window, and somebody was on the other side of the window to catch Grogu.
Oh, wow.
But that was all done physically.
Cool. Yeah.
And so I thought that was 100% CGI.
That's amazing
as
to have
I was
that kind of dexterity with the knees and the hands and all of that. That's incredible.
Yeah, and then they just painted them out. So here's one for our friend Baby Belushi. Favreau reveals that a key inspiration for the Shikari speeder chase was the Blues Brothers. They looked at those at the Blues.
Way.
I mean, I could see it because it's Shikari is supposed to be
Chicago,
1930s Prohibition era Chicago,
right.
And the Blues Brothers obviously was shot in Chicago, and
it's an epic car chase
underneath all those L platforms, and Favreau showing his Chicago roots because he was here in Chicago for a number of years when he was doing improv. I think he was with Second City. Was he Second City or improv? I don't know where.
I think he was Second City for a time.
Yeah. When I met Favreau at the George Lucas banquet way back in 2009, I said, "Welcome to Chicago," and John goes, "Oh, you mean welcome back to Chicago?" And I was like, "Oh, what? Dang! I didn't realize that Favreau had spent any time in Chicago. I thought he was a California guy all the way." But he does refer to, in the commentary, he properly refers to the trains as the L train because that's what we call it here in Chicago. L for elevated Some people think it means electric, but that's not that's not true. It means elevated. You see the trains on the platforms all over Chicago. We don't ever call it the subway, even though it does go underground. We never call it the subway. It's always the L. And it's not EL, it's just the letter L.
The letter L. Okay.
So there's a little Shikari Chicago for you. This I found interesting. Rada and Mando, they had a relationship that Favreau based on the characters from Midnight Run, which is a movie from the late 80s featuring Robert De Niro and Charles Grodin. Yeah. De Niro is a bounty hunter, and Grodin is a guy who is on the lam for some white-collar crime, or the mob is after him, and they...
Right.
So, yeah, and so through the whole misadventures that these two go on, as De Niro is bringing Grodin to justice, they travel across country, and they get in wacky jams where they have to help each other out, and
I haven't seen that movie in a long time. I remember liking it as a kid.
It's kind of akin to Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, too.
Right.
Where you have just, these unlikely two who are stuck together and they just have to get through it. So that's interesting that he based it on De Niro and Grodin from Midnight Run, which is a movie I really liked when it came out. Edgar Wright, I noticed, received a thank you credit at the end of the film. There's a bunch of thank you credits. Robert Rodriguez, J.J. Abrams.
Right, yeah.
Guillermo del Toro. Some of these are easy to figure out. J.J. Abrams, because the Anzellans were used. So Favreau summoned J.J. to the set to get his wisdom on Anzellans.
His blessing.
And of course, Guillermo del Toro was working on the Hutt movie. And Favreau reveals the little maquette of Rada the Hutt that they used to shoot the hologram of young Rada, that he painted that at Guillermo del Toro's house. So, I guess Guillermo is the go-to guy when it comes to Hutt stuff.
He's the Hutt guy.
That's been developed for Lucasfilm because he and David Goyer were working on a Hutt film. So apparently they plucked away a lot of that stuff here to flesh out this movie.
So Guillermo's got a PhD in Huttology.
Yes.
He's the guy.
So director Edgar Wright also got a thank you credit. And that gets revealed. Why? Because when Din flies the Razor Crest into Navarro and lands, that's the first time we see Embo. He just kind of appears like him and the wolf, and they're watching the Razor Crest land. Prior to that, Embo's introduction happened when he raided Mando's house later in the film. So it was Edgar Wright's idea to introduce Embo early as the Razor Crest is landing on Navarro, just to establish the threat of Embo before Embo actually becomes a threat.
Okay.
So that's why Edgar got the thank you credit.
Interesting.
Also, Favreau confirmed that the sound of the Anzellan speeder was inspired by the Jetsons and the sound of George Jetson's flying car. That is confirmed. And so we have a sound effect here of the Jetsons car. And you'll notice it sounds exactly like the Anzellan's speeder. Oh, that's the long one I sent you. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey! Hey, it's the Anzellans are here.
Yes, that is dead on. That is it.
Oh boy, I hope I'm not too late. If I'm late again today.
It just keeps going.
Yeah, I guess I sent you the work. That's like my work cut there. I think I sent you by mistake. Maybe
you
I was
get the idea.
That's
definitely the sound of the Anzellan vehicle, that's so great. That's perfect.
Yeah, just nailed it. And I knew that right away when I heard that, too. the scene, that great scene on Nal Hutta where Grogu is meditating, it's just a brief shot.
Yep.
That was created on the fly by Favreau, who just had the idea to put that in there. And he thought it worked out perfectly because he thought it introduced the idea that Grogu had learned how to connect with the Force this way from Luke. And this was something that he was just taking with him as he continues his development through the Force.
Well, that's interesting that wasn't something that was originally scripted or storyboarded out, that was something that he wanted to throw in on the fly. So that tells me that wasn't necessarily on his mind as he was writing the film.
Right.
So, yeah, that kind of tells you where Grogu's communing with the Force, where that sort of falls priority-wise, as they're putting the story together. It wasn't a top priority, but he seized the opportunity to pull it in when he could.
Which is great. I mean, I think that helps fortify the character a little bit as far as Grogu having knowledge of the Force.
Yeah.
As opposed to just using it naturally. He actually has some knowledge, and that comes from his time he spent with Luke Skywalker. I just wish the film gave us a little more meat on the bone when it comes to the existence of Grogu. And we saw how he was rescued from Order 66 by Kelrin Beck. And we saw that in season 3 of The Mandalorian. But we never, we saw him get taken off on a Naboo ship. And that's it.
That's it.
That still doesn't tell us how he ended up in the hands of these pirates or whatever they were in the first episode of The Mandalorian. When he gets found by Din Djarin, he's in the possession of these pirates. So I just don't get it.
Yeah.
And how does he not remember? He has no memory. Rosario Dawson said that, Ahsoka, when she was reading his mind the first time, she was trying to figure out who he was. That's when his name was revealed. And she said that it just goes blank after he left the Jedi Temple. Why?
It just goes blank.
That's what she said. That's what she said. So, but back to Favreau. He reveals that the small mud hut for the injured Mando was inspired by Yoda's hut. And the idea of Grogu using a walking stick was also inspired by Yoda, clearly. But it as if it's something that the species just naturally does. It's an instinctual thing for them to build mud huts.
I got the sense, yes, that's the sense that I got with the mud hut. Because it almost like you would see, I don't know, an insect or a beaver making a dam, like that it was instinctual, like you were just saying that. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, so Yoda built that. Like Yoda made that after he got there to Dagobah.
Yeah.
That is probably one of the more cool tie-ins to the greater story. It's a very small detail, but I dig it. I like it because it just gives you a little more insight. Now I'm picturing Yoda, after he gets off that little pod at the end of Revenge of the Sith, the deleted scene, patting down and making that big hut. Slimy, my home.
Time to get to work. As soon as he gets there, he had to get.
That's why he took that so personally. When Luke insulted it, he made that place. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Slimy mud hole.
Pretty nice considering, what he had for resources, which was nothing except mud.
Well, the other thing, though, Jim, that made me think about was that made sense that he would pick that environment, that he would pick Dagobah, because maybe it was more like his home world.
Someplace that just felt naturally good for him after all those years, living in that sterile Jedi temple.
Yes.
And there's no fresh air on Coruscant.
No.
Yeah, no, not what Yoda needs.
Concrete jungle down there, you know?
Another thing, too, that's always been said about Yoda relocating to Dagobah and living in exile there is the fact that the planet was so full of life that it's difficult then for somebody to pick up on your force aura, or whatever they pick up on. It would be hard to do because all of the other life forms would be sort of shielding that, and Yoda can then just live in peace without having to worry about being hunted by stormtroopers and Darth Vader. Speaking about where people live, the Hutts, they live in this palace, and we were questioning, what is that mound that they live in? What's up with that? And Favreau says that shape-wise, it's kind of like a big mushroom, but on the inside, it's made out of like semi-cooked sourdough bread. And it's so cool because you're like, what do you mean sourdough bread? And he starts explaining like how you pull it and it can be stringy sort of, and as he's explaining it, it's right at the scene when Din flies that what they call the turtle freighter. I know Turtle Wars likes hearing that. That ship, he flew it into that mound, that Hutt palace. And as he comes crashing through the wall, there's a bunch of battle droids there and stuff. You see this stringy texture that gets ripped out of the wall as the ship comes crashing through, and it's all over the ship and everything. And Favreau points it out right as it happened. And that was pretty cool because I'm like, what is he talking about, sourdough bread? And then all of a sudden you see this ship crash through it, and you see the stringy bread sourdough, and it's like, wow, oh, I see it. Okay, I get it. So it's based on a mushroom and sourdough bread. And the last thing I have here is Red Jammer Y-Wing. Boy, have people made a big fuss about this, as if this was like something that was readily known amongst Star Wars fans, which I don't really think it was. Red Jammer Y-Wing was never on my radar. Apparently, to model builders, though, this thing's a big flipping deal. It actually is a historically significant Y-Wing model that was the first Y-Wing model built by ILM for the actual film itself, but it never got used in the film. And it's a Y-Wing that looks very similar to the Y-Wings we're familiar with, but it has some like copper piping on it, and it has red accents like to the paint as opposed to the yellow accents that we see in the film for Gold Squadron. Have you ever heard of the Y-Wing called Red Jammer?
Never heard of that. So this was a model that ILM created, and it never got any screen time.
That's right. It was actually
so it's kind of got a cultish following, I'm sure.
Right. And so it was actually sent to London for the guys building the sets of the Yavin hangar. They sent the Red Jammer out them,
the original,
for them to base those. Yeah, but they never used the model. It was never seen on screen up against a blue screen or whatever. It never. So that's why it probably still exists, because they never blew it up. All those other ships got blown up.
Right.
But this one still exists. It's called Red Jammer. I guess that's what the Star Wars modeling community calls it. The Red Jammer, and I guess that just has caught on to like internally at ILM and everything. And so when Favreau was at Skywalker Ranch shooting the Razor Crest in the parking lot, somebody told him that they were restoring the Red Jammer Y-Wing Starfighter model for George, because George wants to put it on display in the museum.
No way.
So they're cleaning that stuff up. And Favreau heard about this and said, oh, gee whiz, that sure would be great to have the Red Jammer in Mandalorian and Grogu. So he actually called Lucas and got George's permission to use the model for shots in The Mandalorian and Grogu. Red Jammer, and that was the ship that director Lee Isaac Chung was flying. And he's a guy I know. I think he directed some episodes of Skeleton Crew or some Mandoverse shows, maybe in Ahsoka. Or I don't remember now. There's been so many shows, so many directors. But he's the one who was flying the Y-Wing, and the Y-Wing is the thing that destroyed the sourdough mushroom palace that the Hutts lived in.
You're going to get some merch tie-ins there. You're going to be able to buy that sourdough bread.
It'd be like
based
a
on
starter kit. Yeah, grow your own Hutt palace right in the fridge. So that's everything.
Wow.
That
So it really sounds that
was notable.
Totally worth going. If you're looking for an excuse to go and see the film again, not that you need one, but if you're looking for an excuse, go do that. And I love the fact that you don't have to find a participating theater, that this is just, if you've got a smartphone, you can download the app, you've got earbuds, you go. And as you said, you just find the theater that you're at and the showtime, and everything syncs together. Turn the microphone on. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. Easy to use, and very cool technology to experience. I've never done that in a movie theater before. I had a director's commentary track playing in my ears while I'm watching the movie, and part of me, there were a couple of times where I'm like, I'm not as familiar with this film as I would be a Star Wars movie I've seen 500 times. So there were times when I kind of wanted to hear what was happening on screen,
Right.
Like, wait, what did he just say there? Well, all right, whatever. Yeah, you live for the experience alone, and it was a pretty good one. So
now, do you see this as being an audio commentary that could likely be tied in or included with a home video release or a streaming release or something like that?
Yeah, I hope so. I definitely do, because obviously The Mandalorian and Grogu will be short-lived in the theaters, and I hope this isn't a 100% exclusive theater ears production. And when the home video release comes out,
in the commentary that you're there in the theater watching the film? Or was it more, I hate to use the word generic, but more, where it more evergreen to where it could be used on a home video release or something?
Yeah, he doesn't get that specific. He does drop a hint as to when he recorded this. And I believe it was after some of those early previews happened, some of like the premiere and some media screenings or what have you. Because he was talking about, I can't remember exactly what it was, but he said, fans have been reacting to this like whatever, XYZ. But so I was like, he recorded this after it's been released. But then I started thinking to myself, maybe he only recorded this after some of those early screenings went down. Mm-hmm. I don't think that general audiences had seen the movie at the time Favreau was recording it. But that being said, it was still within weeks of me sitting there in the theater, because he was clearly talking about viewer reaction.
Yeah.
So
there was an awareness as to what the fandom had caught on to, at least at that point. Yeah. Wow.
So cool, a lot of fun. Mandalorian Grogu will be in theaters for a few more weeks at least. So grab the Theater Ears app and head over to your local cinema. And,
well, there was all this talk about a week ago of, Masters of the Universe is going to come and it's going to just decapitate Mando and Grogu, and they're pulling Mando and Grogu out of IMAX so they can put Masters of the Universe. And I'm not here to pee on Masters of the Universe. I intend to see it. I was an 80s kid. I liked He-Man, and I'm planning to see it at some point. But it didn't do as well as Mando and Grogu. I'll tell you that.
Oh no!
So
not even close. Mando and Grogu brought in, for just the 3-day weekend that it opened, it brought in $81 million, and I believe the Masters of the Universe for its opening weekend brought in about $35 million.
Right. Yep.
And the only thing that I have to say that really frosted me was their social media advertising campaign for Masters of the Universe was saying, it was casting shade at the Mandalorian and Grogu. It was saying the first blockbuster of the summer is here. And it's like, no. You're off by a couple of weeks, gang. So, yeah, that pissed me off a little bit. I gotta say.
That's bold and stupid.
The first, well, I mean, and I don't think they would have taken that approach had The Mandalorian done $150 million opening weekend, which I wish it did, and it didn't. And, somebody online said, the new thing is now people like to say, when they cast shade on you because you're expressing maybe a glass half full attitude, they say you're coping. You're listen to these old men cope with bad box office for Mandalorian and Grogu. It's like, F you. We're not coping with anything. You know, because the approach I take with Star Wars is that there's always going to be something coming up. It's not. People seem to act like the Mandalorian and Grogu is now going to be. This is Star Wars forever now. That's how people act. Yeah. This is Star Wars forever. It's just Mandalorian and Grogu. Let's find everything we can just pick apart at this movie and rip it to shreds. Maybe it is a little too fan-centric, or maybe it's not fan-centric enough. I don't know what the actual equation is, but it just wasn't the Star Wars movie that general public audiences want to see right now.
Yeah. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that the franchise is dead. That doesn't mean that Star Wars can't pack people into theaters. It's, again, more akin to just the state of the film business in general. You just don't have blockbusters like you used to, and blockbuster means something different. But this movie is not a bomb. It's not a flop by any stretch. It's a fairly strong film. I think they're just about 1.8, 1.9 times the production budget. And, of course, they would like to be at somewhere in the 2.5 to 3 times range. I'm probably not going to get there. But Disney has also talked about the merchandising, and they were actually quite bullish on the sales of Baby Yoda, Grogu-related merchandise. So they're seeing it as definitely something that has more than just box office value. There's ancillary and merchandise and all of that stuff. My God, with the popcorn buckets at $40 and $80 a piece, you figure
they should have made all their money back just in popcorn buckets.
That's right. I got one right behind me right here.
Wow.
Yeah. So, hey, speaking of money, you definitely want to be thinking about how to support your favorite Star Wars fans, Star Wars charities, and none comes close to the folks over at Rancho Obi-Wan, and they have a big summer fundraiser, Jim. They're putting the fun back in fundraiser there at Rancho Obi-Wan.
That's right. It's happening again this year. The Rancho Obi-Wan annual summer fundraiser, and tickets are on sale now. The event is happening August 1st in Petaluma, California. It's going to be an exclusive, intimate event hosted by the one, the only Star Wars super collector, our friend, Steve Sansweet. And he'll be giving attendees a rare opportunity to check out the largest Star Wars memorabilia collection in the world, according to Guinness Book of World Records. So that's pretty official. Part of the evening is going to include leisurely walkthroughs, the museum itself. There will be entertainment. There will be access to the video arcade, which I enjoy very much. Mm-hmm. Food and drinks. Their famed charcuterie returns, along with wine tasting featuring wines from Skywalker Vineyards. Fabulous. The general store will be open, and you'll have access to unique merchandise and collectibles. Tickets are available now. $300 per person will get you in. They are extremely limited, and attendance is strictly capped. So, Bob Canning will be out there counting heads. Make sure
he'll have the clicker.
Yeah, he'll be there with the clicker standing at the main gate, making sure that that attendance is strictly capped. So my buddy Steve Swanson, who you guys might remember from last year, he's the guy who created that great photo book of Stu.
Oh, right.
I always have it close by. And Steve is going to be there this year. He told me that he's already purchased his ticket.
Excellent.
And he is showing his support for Rancho Obi-Wan and the Saga Museum, for that matter. There is something else that we are going to be announcing soon. I say we because Rebel Force Radio collaborated with Rancho Obi-Wan and the Saga Museum for a very special thing that's going to be happening at some point this year. I'm not allowed to talk about it. I can only tell you the code name of it is Salt the Guava. Salt the Guava. That's sort of our Blue Harvest code name for this.
I don't even know what the hell he's talking about, folks. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Jason
Maybe I can get out of him, get it out of him after the show wraps. But
I've been sworn to secrecy.
There's just no place like Rancho Obi-Wan. As I was flipping through the photos here, they put on. It's one thing just to go on any regular day, but when they've got a special event going on, and there's just nothing like it. They just there's so much love and care into every little detail. It's astonishing, and you just feel the sort of the homegrown nature of it. It doesn't feel corporate. It doesn't feel cold. Everything is just full of passion and love for this thing that we're all into. It's just so authentic and so real. Can't say enough about it.
Yep. And, of course, you guys know how special this place is, not only to Rebel Force Radio, but to the history of Star Wars. Let's preserve the history of Star Wars for generations to come. Visit ranchoobiwan.org now to get more information on the summer fundraiser and learn how you can become a member of Rancho Obi-Wan and support the world's largest Star Wars memorabilia collection. That's ranchoobiwan.org. Tell them RFR sent you. ranchoobiwan.org.
All right, right after you buy those tickets to the Rancho Obi-Wan fundraiser, if you've been sitting on the fence and you've been thinking about joining us over on Patreon, do that too. Make this the summer of Star Wars. And get your Rancho Obi-Wan tickets and join us over on Patreon, because there's always something exciting happening on Patreon, especially if you just can't get your fill of RFR through the weekly show. There's a lot more over on Patreon.
Yes, definitely. And especially as we're ramping up toward the 20th anniversary of Rebel Force Radio happening later this summer. You guys know that it's important to keep this show healthy and give us the ability to offer you all the greatest Star Wars conversation and news that we can. And after 20 years, you guys really have been keeping us going. So I just want to thank everyone for being amazing supporters of Rebel Force Radio. And of course, we wouldn't ask for your support without giving you something in return. So Rebel Force Radio is the home of exclusive Rebel Force Radio podcasts like RFR Q&A, which is weekly conversations between myself and Rebel Force Radio VIPs. There's a VIP tier on Patreon, and if you join that tier, you become eligible to co-host an episode of RFR Q&A with me, and we have awesome conversations about all things Star Wars. I a lot of times don't even know what we're going to be talking about, and that's what makes it exciting for me. There's RFR RPG, which features myself, Matt Rashid, Tyler Page, and Baby Belushi playing Star Wars RPG from Fantasy Flight Games. Edge of the Empire, I believe, is the game we're playing, and it's a lot of fun. We really have spun things off into our own canon in a profound way with RFR RPG.
I'm just looking at this character, Disco Fever, here. Apparently, this is something
That's
else.
Disco, a clone trooper who's been living, kind of like living a life very similar to Tom Hanks in that movie where he was talking to the volleyball. What was that movie?
Castaway,
where he's talking to a volleyball. So we have all of that except for the volleyball. And that's actually artwork by Chris Sorrentino himself, Baby Belushi, of his character. Chris is a very, very talented artist, and that's what Disco the Clone Trooper looks like in the mind of Baby Belushi, Chris Sorrentino. So we're having a lot of fun with that. And, of course, there's the Babu Freaks, me, Tyler, Brian Klein, and Barry Harmon, Chicago area Star Wars fans who get together once a month to get caught up on all things Star Wars with occasional tangents into sports or whatever. But we try to keep it all about the wars at RFR on Patreon, and we want you to join the party. You also have access to the greatest community of Star Wars fans you'll find anywhere on the planet, but especially on the internet. There is no finer group of people, very welcoming community of Star Wars fans, and they want to hear from you. So join us at patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio. Patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio is where you want to go for all things RFR. Patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio.
Rebel Force Radio.
I have good news for you, my lord.
That's good news.
Come closer, I have good news.
All right, as we were saying earlier, now that we've all seen Mandalorian and Grogu, or most of us have seen that, our eyes and our attention is focused on what's next. And what is next is Star Wars Starfighter, and things have been a little quiet on that front, so I was really happy to see that we've got some new audio highlights, some interview highlights with director Shawn Levy. Levy? I don't know. I can't remember.
I think we're going with Levy on
Is
him?
it Levy?
Or do we go with Levy?
Yeah. I was thinking like
Shawn.
Like the SCTV guy. Sorry.
Eugene.
Eugene Levy. Yes, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, regardless, Levy doesn't really matter. We've got audio highlights from the next Star Wars director about this film coming out in less than a year now, finally.
Yeah, we're the countdown is officially on now. And I think we will start hearing some rumbles from Starfighter as the summer continues on. I'll tell you, Shawn, he gets around. You know, he especially with this movie out, Backrooms. He was a producer on that. Low budget or whatever. It's still attracted top talent like Shawn, and I guess he has a production company. So he is out and about making appearances associated with that. And he was at one of these events where he ran into Collider, and he talked to them about what it's like working with Ryan Gosling on Starfighter and why it was such a fulfilling experience.
Ryan is a talent. He's a generational talent. He's someone I have admired and loved on screen for so many years and across so many genres and so many movies. But as a collaborator, as a true partner in the trench, Ryan and I, from script development through prep, through the shoot, even now in post-production, he's very much someone I constantly check in with and lean on. And we just stumbled into this really powerful, creative flow that is, I think, making Starfighter better and better and better. So that was one. And it was maybe of extra value because when you're making Star Wars, you never forget the pressure, right? The pressure is ubiquitous, it's daily, and it's global. And so having sort of a touchstone so you can just focus on the next line, the next shot, the next scene, so that you're focused on the specific rather than the sort of generalized crushing pressure, that got me through. And it still gets me through, edit by edit right now.
Wow, sounds like they have formed a great creative relationship, a great partnership. I'll be honest with you, I didn't really... I'd seen one film with Ryan Gosling prior to last weekend, and it was a film with Steve Carell. Came out, kind of a buddy romantic comedy sort of thing where Ryan Gosling was trying to coach Steve Carell's character on how to pick up women and, you know, be a bit of a player and all of that. And I was like, this guy's just kind of one of those, kind of reminded me of like early Tom Cruise stuff. Like, this guy's just a good looking punk, you know. And then last weekend, I just happened to be flipping around and I saw that people are going to be like, you're finally seeing this movie, especially you ladies out there. I hadn't seen The Notebook. Yeah, I know it was a big deal and it was made a lot of money and, you know, you watch it and you cry and blah, blah, blah. I had not seen it until last weekend and I saw it and I got to see a whole different side of Ryan Gosling. Yeah, he's still the leading man, but there was a depth and emotion and just charisma just flying off the screen. So I watched that and I go, okay, this guy's got, you know, news alert. Ryan Gosling is, you know, a compelling actor to watch. But for me, I just hadn't been that familiar with him as I always thought he was like a less than Ryan Reynolds. Like there was Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, I know.
Number one, there is no less than Ryan Reynolds.
Yes, I know his star has faded. But anyway, nonetheless, saw The Notebook, and now I'm like, okay, I should, because I did not see Project Hail Mary. Jim, I don't know if you made it out to the theaters to see that, or what your experience with Ryan Gosling as an actor has been up to now.
Well, I'll tell you, my main experience with him was Blade Runner 2049.
Oh,
and his performance in that film really opened my eyes, you know, alongside the lovely Ana de Armas, and
right?
of course, the great Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
And it was, I thought, a very worthy sequel to the original Blade Runner. I got to see that.
I have not seen that, and I need to. I got to refresh myself on Blade Runner as soon as I figure out which version. There's like 28 different cuts of Blade Runner to choose from. Which version to see, and then move into 2049. So that
director's cut. Yeah. You want the director's cut, whatever that is. And by the way, the movie with Ryan Gosling and Steve Carell is Crazy Stupid Love.
Yeah.
Which is
right.
Jason, you know, on Jason's watch list.
Hey, it was like during the days of The Office, everybody loved Steve Carell, and
sure,
just a 40-year-old virgin. I saw it for Steve Carell. I didn't really see it for Ryan Gosling, but
maybe I'll have to watch that one. Maybe I'll be on that one in The Notebook. I'll do a double feature. Be weeping by the end, right? So Gosling also, I'm really familiar with him primarily just from talk show appearances and Saturday Night Live. Mm-hmm. I never saw the Barbie movie. I'm really not familiar with Ryan's career other than the fact that he's really riding a hot wave right now.
Yeah.
And I definitely will see Project Hail Mary when it gets the home video release. I did want to see it in the theaters, but just never made it. I've been kind of my desire to go to the theaters has been rekindled a little bit with the 4 visits I made to the theater in May to see the Mandalorian and Grogu.
So you're like, hey, I remember why I like this so much.
Yeah. And I was really happy to go back to my neighborhood theater where I haven't been since Superman came out last year. And I just love that theater. It's been refurbished. It's a great old movie palace.
And you can walk there. How cool is that?
It's 2 blocks from my house, so I can really have those spur of the moment. Hey, I want to go see that movie. It starts in 10 minutes. And bam.
There you are.
Within 5 minutes, I'm sitting in a theater seat. So I just love that. And the old school quality of it all and the popcorn. It's just been a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to seeing a few more movies this summer for sure. Looking forward to The Odyssey.
Oh, right.
And,
big epic.
And I'm sort of on the fence with Supergirl. I love DC Comics. Superman is one of my all-time favorite titles, but I just was kind of turned off by the trailer. I didn't like the trailer, and I can't quite put my finger on it. It just, the tone felt off to me. So I may have to rewatch that trailer too. Maybe I was just in a cranky mood.
You know, I will tell you, I think that one of the problems with some of these superhero films is that I don't know if it's that they're afraid to take themselves seriously or what it is, but everything has just sort of got this sarcastic, self-aware humor to it.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of the reasons, I'm not saying everything needs to be serious as a heart attack. It still should have an element of fun. But, I mean, everyone's raving about Matt Reeves, the Batman from a few years ago. And that's because it took itself seriously. It wasn't embarrassed or ashamed to be what it is. And I think that's kind of what happens with these films is that they are a little bit. So.
Too many quips is what Jason is saying. He's had enough of the quips. I noticed that in the Avengers, especially around the time of that Ultron movie. There was nothing that could happen on screen without one of the characters having a witty or sassy quip. And it got tiresome. And you do get that feeling that, hey, if you guys aren't going to take this seriously, why should I?
Right. Yeah.
So it takes the edge off a little too much.
Oh, another movie this summer that I definitely want to see is the new Spider-Man. I've enjoyed all of the Spider-Man
I'll be there for that.
films. Yeah.
I will be there for that. I don't think there is a Spider-Man film that's been released that I didn't see theatrically.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'll definitely go see that one. But something like a Masters of the Universe, I'll wait for streaming on that bad boy.
Right.
And no, you were not the first blockbuster of the summer, not by a long shot.
No.
Not by a long shot. So I think that Toy Story 5 is going to make boffo box office, too. I just feel like the timing of that film, there's something about it that makes me think the timing is right on for another Toy Story movie. I just think that families and audiences are primed for that. And those characters just become more and more iconic over time.
Right.
Will I see it? No. But people will. People will flock to that movie. I haven't seen any Toy Story since Toy Story 2. And I just can't because my kids watch those movies 5,000 times.
Oh,
and I've just seen enough Toy Story.
Repeat
Yeah. I mean, when you think about when those movies came out, that's when my kids were toddlers.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Toy Story on a loop. That and Shrek. I've seen the first half of Shrek.
Somebody once told me to.
Oh, yeah. The Smash Mouth. I've seen the first hour of Shrek like 90 times. But I don't think I've ever seen the full movie.
Oh, right. Yeah, right. Because it would be like bedtime. You'd let them watch a little bit of it or
happened.
whatever. Yeah.
Oh, good. They fell asleep. Let's
turn
go
on
outside
HGTV.
I'm going outside to smoke a cigar. Oh, boy. I don't miss those days. Not at all. Sneaking around infants.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's like, why do I have to be quiet for them? They're not quiet for me. You know what? Some things just never change. We got a new Toy Story movie. I got the same complaints about my kids, even though they're adult men. Let's just move on to our next clip here from Shawn, the director. Levy. We'll figure it out by the time Starfighter gets released. We'll figure that out. But here's Shawn talking about the weapons used in Starfighter and the prompts and how he got a little hands-on time with some of that stuff. And when you listen to him talk, you might pick a clue about what to expect from the movie.
Well, there's some things that I can't give away because I don't want to give any spoilers about the plot. But let's just say that I got really good with the lightsaber.
Oh. Okay.
I'll just say that, you know what, if I would spend my off hours in the droid workshop, I would go visit the creature kind of manufacturing hub where they're just bringing to life so many new things because, again, it's not a sequel or a prequel. So everything was new and it sort of fostered this incredibly creative environment.
Oh, okay. What do we got here? Let's line it up. We got a lightsaber. That's huge. We can talk about that. We got a creature shop.
We got creatures.
And we got droid builders. So that sounds like Star Wars to me. Lightsaber, droids, and creatures.
And it's just interesting how he says that with this being on a different place on the timeline, that we're going to be seeing a lot of new stuff.
Right.
New in terms of the technology, the starships, the weaponry, stuff of that nature. And then, of course, the big thing he drops on you is, yes, there are going to be lightsabers in this film. If the director's playing with a lightsaber, that means some actors are as well. Maybe some stunt people.
Yeah.
So,
now we're talking post Rise of Skywalker here from a timeline perspective.
That's right.
We know that in that time frame, the Jedi are all but extinct again. At least that's the
right.
assumption here that we're making.
Yep.
However, despite that, and despite any confirmation that Rey is going to be in this film, we got ourselves a lightsaber, at least one, floating around in this movie. So
I put together a full breakdown of all this information that we have on Starfighter, and I could go through that list right now as soon as I find it.
Let's do it. You're going to break it down for us.
Yeah, because there's some things that we heard that I don't think anyone else is reporting.
Okay.
But this is most of the stuff I've been able to gather from perusing online sources and listening to some people that we know who are in the know. Starfighter will spotlight a spoiler alert. We should probably. Yeah, let's make this a fish. We really should.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Thank you, Chewbacca. All right. Star Wars Starfighter will spotlight a Force-sensitive young boy, played by Flynn Gray, and Ryan Gosling, of course. You know the spotlight's going to be on Ryan. He's a big superstar, right? So his job is, he is tasked with protecting Flynn Gray. Okay. Amy Adams, who we're going to hear from in just a minute here, Amy is going to play Flynn Gray's mother. She is Force sensitive as well and will be killed off early in the film. We are told, RFR has been told, she wields a red lightsaber. Okay, you can look at that any way you want. You can think that instantly makes her a dark sider. We don't know for a fact if she's wielding her lightsaber. It's just that one of our sources has been told she's wielding a red lightsaber. So it could just be part of a sequence where maybe she takes the lightsaber away from someone attacking her. We don't know. But she does get killed off, and we assume it will be at the end of a saber duel early in the film. With her dying breath, she passes along a lightsaber to Flynn and tells him to find his Uncle Gosling. So Ryan Gosling.
Okay, just so folks make sure they know that we don't have any confirmation on the character's name. So
right. He's known as the Gosling. It's like, wow, there's Goslings in Star Wars. Okay. So his Uncle Ryan is a rough around the edges former war hero. So I assume he fought in the battle against the First Order that we see in the sequel trilogy. Flynn finds Ryan, his uncle, in a cantina. They don't get along well at first. Mia Goth plays a warrior who is Force sensitive and has an individual specific goal, which, like Darth Maul, might be finding an apprentice. You know, how that motivated Maul during Shadow Lord. So it appears that Mia Goth has a similar drive. She is hunting Flynn Gray, but she is not a Sith and has no connection to them. Like, she isn't some Sith wannabe like Asajj Ventress.
Right.
She might be more or less a rogue mercenary, more along the lines of Baylan Skull Force sensitive, mercenary, and she does use a lightsaber. So it is confirmed Mia Goth will be using a lightsaber in the film. She's Force sensitive.
We're up to 2 lightsabers now.
We got 2. Yeah. 2 of them for Shawn Levy to play with. And Mia Goth, she'll be working for Matt Smith. Matt Smith, the actor, who will be playing some sort of galactic arms dealer. And he's got a big reputation. So, like, he is well known throughout the galaxy. Ryan Gosling, the uncle, will find himself in a position much like Din Djarin in the second season of The Mandalorian, as he is looking for someone who can train Flynn in the ways of the Force. So he wants to deliver Flynn to somebody who can help him with the Force. So that may lead them to Rey and set up the next Star Wars trilogy, episodes 10, 11, and 12. That could possibly happen. Now, something to keep in mind, there was a big rewrite of the third act, which may change things, but I believe that rewrite of the third act happened because they want this to tie into the next Star Wars trilogy.
The Kinberg trilogy.
This film will act as something of a bridge. It will set things up for the future while still acting as a standalone film.
This will begin to make things right.
I predict Ryan Gosling will not survive this film. His character will get killed off. That's my prediction. It's
a big star. Big star. I mean, you would think you'd want to keep him around.
Yeah, but maybe that was something Ryan said. Listen, I don't want to be playing Star Wars for the next decade. I'll do it.
Harrison warned me about this on the set of Blade Runner. Let me tell you, kid.
Don't let them suck you in. They did it to me. 3 films of the same crap over and over again. Don't let them do it to you. So maybe that's what's going to happen. And that's why I think they're so firm on how they say that this is a one-and-done standalone adventure. But I believe once they brought Kinberg into the fold and heard his pitch and they started to consider ways to tie it into Starfighter, which they probably already had Rey slotted to appear in anyway at the end.
Yeah.
You know, it's like always the goal to deliver this kid to Rey because she has started up a new Jedi Academy or whatever she calls it. It might not necessarily be. It could be a Skywalker Academy. I don't know. I do an impersonation.
What's the name of your school there, love?
Skywalker. Walker.
Right. You know what though? Everything that you've laid out here, is super cool, interesting stuff. Like I'm all for it.
Yeah,
there
can't
wasn't
wait.
anything. There wasn't anything that you threw out there that I thought, we're doing this. I love it. And I love it. And, you know, blue sky, give me some blue sky out there for Star Wars, really. The only thing we've seen so far from this, we've seen 2 we've seen 2 on-set photos. One was that black and white shot of Gosling and Flynn on a speeder, I think it was. And then this one that we're looking at here now, which is them on some sort of seafaring craft. Almost feels like I'm looking at something out of Waterworld. You remember that movie?
Very much so. Very Waterworld vibes.
Yeah.
You expect Dennis Hopper to come flying up with a cigarette dangling out of his mouth, riding a jet ski like a deranged beaver.
Oh, my God. So that's all we have to go from. I mean, they've done a masterful... I can't believe nothing is leaked. I can't even think, Jim, of any, TMZ style paparazzi shots of anything from set. I mean, if you remember, clearly you remember we were covering the sequel trilogy and there were drones and helicopters and planes flying over and they were sending us pictures of the Falcon and all that. There's been like no leaks on this movie.
Right. Well, if they're shooting it out in the middle of the ocean somewhere, that makes it kind of private. Right? But you're right, though, with the technology now, with the drones and the massive zoom lens that people use. And
everybody has a camera. Everybody has a camera 24/7.
Everyone has a camera. So they've been able to tamper down on all the leaks, but now that Mando and Grogu has been released and it's going to gear up for home video release here in the next few months, we might start getting a lot of info thrown at us about Starfighter, especially in the wake of the Mandalorian and Grogu underperforming as far as a Star Wars film goes. I think that Disney will want to get people thinking about the next thing pretty quickly, because some of the headlines I see about Mandalorian and Grogu are pathetic. It's just like, the end of all Star Wars is happening in front of our eyes.
Everybody wants to be the one to say, I called it. It was like all the Kathleen Kennedy stuff, she's going to retire. She's going to be fired, But there's one Hail Mary that they could do with Mandalorian and Grogu. And that is, in its final weeks at the box office, go see it, stay after for a sneak peek at Starfighter.
Hey, you must be some kind of marketing genius or something to come up with that. That's a brilliant idea. Just a brilliant idea. How come that's not already happening? Why are we not reporting on it already?
Less than a year away.
So, we'll see. We'll see if there'll be any sort of last minute premiums to draw you to the theater to see the Mandalorian and Grogu one last time, or see it for the first time. That would be pretty good. Pretty good. We still have more clips of Shawn. This is something that we feared. What would happen?
No!
Could
what?
Lucasfilm and Disney have a knee-jerk reaction to Mandalorian and Grogu getting beaten by two very low-profile and low-budget horror movies made by YouTube directors? Will then there be some knee-jerk reaction to make Star Wars somehow resemble a movie like Backroom? Shawn Levy who directs Star Wars and was a producer for Backroom, is the guy to ask about this. So does Shawn
what influence will these smaller, lower budget films have on?
Right.
Yeah.
And what kind of, could there even be like potential crossover and have like a Star Wars Backroom mashup? Is there potential for something as insane as that? Well, Shawn commented on that to Vanity Fair.
Well, right now, I'm making a movie called Star Wars Starfighter, and so I very much have Star Wars on my mind, and I can't help but be captivated by a Backroom Star Wars mashup. And luckily, I've got a little involvement in both, so I'll see what I can do.
I'll see what I can do. He's full of crap. I think he's totally speaking tongue-in-cheek there.
He is, of course he is. There's no more going to be a Backroom Star Wars mashup than a Stranger Things Star Wars mashup. Although Stranger Things did have an appearance by Star Wars Toys in its first season, and numerous Star Wars references. As the kids in the show were obviously fans of Star Wars, but I don't see that as being a real possibility.
No, I think he was definitely. You take that comment with a grain of salt.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed some outlets running with it though, as if it was breaking news.
Slow news day, eh?
All right, let's go back to Collider. They talked to Shawn Levy, and he spoke a little bit about the actor, the kid, Flynn Gray, and the pressure that he might be up against appearing in a Star Wars movie for his debut.
if you cast someone as a big part in Star Wars opposite Ryan Gosling, you need them to be more than good. You need them to have poise. You need them to have enough internal solidity that they can handle all these competing forces and all the noise that will come with it. And Flynn Gray has that inner solid sense of self. And frankly, not unlike Gaten, not unlike Finn, not unlike Caleb and Sadie and Millie and all the other young actors on Stranger Things, Carmen, with Nina Gold as her collaborator, they found this young actor who had never been in a movie before, but who approached every day with preparation and grace.
Yeah, I mean, Jim, the last time Star Wars centered around a young actor, there was a lot of blowback. In fact, it was so bad that a guy like Ron Howard had to come to Jake Lloyd's defense, with the Phantom Menace. And so there's an element of, oh gosh, is the lightning going to strike twice here with this? And, are we going to get Yippee and,
Yippee,
all that stuff. Now none of that was Jake's fault. That was a lot of, that was some of that stuff was just, maybe George writing down a little bit, to the audience. But at any rate, still, I think that there's some risk here. Anytime you're going to anchor a film with a young actor, although I do like that Levy talks about, it makes the comparison with those Stranger Things actors. I know for you personally, Jim, you've said that, after the first season, that Bloom was just kind of off the rose and the kids just weren't as likable or whatever on screen for you. So you pieced out after the first season. But for a lot of fans, they stayed with it and they enjoyed watching them evolve and grow up. So maybe that's, maybe he's got the touch when it comes to that.
And I think Flynn Gray might have a future ahead of himself for Star Wars, too. This could be something where he graduates from Starfighter and moves into the next trilogy. Which, what are we going to call that trilogy? The sequel trilogy? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a really good question. What will we call that?
I mean, we've had a pretty easy time with prequel, original, sequel. Now what?
What is it?
Now what? Yeah, what are we going to... We have to start working on that right now because we need some top minds in a think tank, a Star Wars think tank to determine...
That's the biggest question facing Star Wars fandom right now.
Yeah,
what the hell are we going to call 10, 11, and 12? The fourth trilogy?
The new trilogy? The final trilogy? No, we can't. I mean, the final trilogy would be interesting. We'll get to work on that, ladies and gentlemen. We'll have an answer for you in the next few weeks, what we're going to call the next trilogy. And I believe Flynn Gray will have a place in that trilogy.
Yeah.
I think he'll be part of this Jedi temple that's going to be forged by Rey. We might even see Grogu there. I mean, we know how popular that character is, how iconic that character is, and how that character definitely has a future in Star Wars storytelling. Can you have a Jedi Academy without Grogu? Well, I don't know. I mean, he'd have to have changed his mind yet again.
Right.
How wishy-washy is this little green?
Wait a minute. Now, I think what could be the case is, we know he's going to live many lives, many lifetimes. So the choice between the Mandalorian going with Din, the Mandalorian way versus the Jedi way, might not have been a forever choice. Just it's not for me right now. Could be a very different mindset when you're making a decision and you're going to live to be 900 years old, potentially.
Right.
So we could assume that maybe Din's not around by the time we get to the fourth trilogy era.
Well, really, yeah. Think about it. I mean, how many years post... Well, I mean, could be around. He
could
be.
be.
An old man.
Be an old man. Yeah.
But I mean,
he'll be played by Tim Morrison.
If they reveal he's dead, they say he's dead.
He's dead,
and we'll be wondering,
dead Jaren.
What happened to him? We'll never know for like the longest time.
Right.
How did he die? And then they'll finally have The Mandalorian, the death of Din Djarin. It'll be like, oh, we've been waiting for this. So, I mean, there's ways to get the fan base excited, I think.
Sure.
And sometimes finality to a certain character's story can do a lot to energize and unite a fan base. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to stick the landing on that. Just ask Star Trek. The way they killed off Captain Kirk, people are still pissed off about that.
It's so lame. It's just the worst. The worst.
And of course, the way they killed off James Bond. I mean, fans find that unforgivable. It's not easy to do.
I'm still not over that one.
Yeah,
the James Bond.
I know.
Still not over that. Yeah,
people are like, well, where's what happened to Bondcast? What happened to Bondcast? I said, no time to die. I guess no time to die, but plenty of time to kill a podcast. That's what happened.
You're right. It's a very, very difficult thing to do. But no, I mean, if that's the case, though, Jim, I mean, if we see a Grogu in this Kinberg trilogy, then Mando is sort of a bridge. It does end up being a bridge to some degree to the future of Star Wars. Not a direct one, but certainly borrowing the character. And that's the other thing I was thinking about too. It's like, okay, well, we know that this character is 50 years old. Is that what we're told?
Yeah.
So 50 years old. So what's another 30 years?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, is he going to be in that gangly, pimply-faced, big-footed teenage years? Is that what we got going on?
It might be interesting to watch, kind of like a young Sheldon sort of situation. Young Grogu. I don't know.
Baby Yoda, I love you.
Rebel Force Radio.
We have some clips here to move forward from Amy Adams, somebody else who adds some legitimate star power to Star Wars Starfighter. We had heard rumors for months that she's going to be in the film, and those rumors finally got confirmed on The Tonight Show just this past, it was recently, I think it was like in the last couple of weeks. She appeared because she's appearing in the TV show version of Cape Fear, which I've been hearing some really good things about.
Yeah.
So Amy Adams is out promoting that. She appeared on The Tonight Show. And usually they try to sneak in the Star Wars talk like at the very end of the interview. But I was really shocked and surprised that Fallon opened with Star Wars conversation.
Right out of the gate?
Right out of the gate.
Wow.
But I mean, this is the legitimate confirmation of Amy Adams appearing in the Starfighter film. I don't believe any official cast announcement has been made by Lucasfilm regarding her involvement in the film. I think the only cast members who've been officially announced have been Ryan Gosling and Flynn Gray.
Agreed.
So Amy's on The Tonight Show, and let's tune in and hear her confirm that, yes, she will be in Star Wars Starfighter.
There's rumors, and you're going to probably say yes or no tonight, that you're joining the Star Wars universe.
These rumors are true.
Really?
That's about all I can tell you.
Yeah.
Is that I'm in it.
That you're in the Ryan Gosling with Shawn Levy.
Yes, yeah.
Really?
Oh, it's a total dream come true.
Really?
Yes, love Star Wars.
I love everyone. I love Ryan, but I love Shawn Levy too. I love all.
The whole universe. I was like huge fan.
But you, growing up?
Oh yeah. I was like totally obsessed, had all the toys.
You had the dolls?
I had the dolls. I had the Princess Leia doll.
Ooh.
I still have, they re-released the Princess Leia doll, and I bought like 6 of them to give out to my friends and stuff, but yeah.
Just to be nice?
Yeah, I mean, more or less, or just maybe we could play together. Like, no,
Yeah. When did you? How old are you when you bought that?
45.
Not the new one, not the new one. The old ones. Yeah, but you were as a kid. You grew up.
I grew up. No, I purchased.
You did?
They re-released them.
Oh, you really did.
I really have Princess Leia dolls. Yeah, I love them.
So you must.
They're really.
But did you? I mean,
I love them.
She kind of leans in on that last one. I love them.
I love them.
Don't you question me, Fallon.
Right.
I love those Princess
Stop doing
Leia
the
action
math.
figures.
I had Princess Leia dolls, pal. Okay?
I love them. Damn it.
I had to comb the hair into the Star Puffs.
She would have been the kid who had the Star Puff styling going on and everything with the little comb. And then she's got the hair dryer out and like melts the head of the Princess Leia because it's only plastic.
You never had that figure, right? The 12-inch
of course
Leia, or did you? You had that, the 12-inch Leia.
You know, I think it was kind of like a sneaky gift we gave our sister Sheila.
Smart. That's smart.
And it was just a way to keep her sort of in the group because we all had Star Wars fever, and she was very young. I mean, she was only 1 when Star Wars came out. And so she was the little sister, and I think as we got all hyped up for Star Wars, we wanted her to be included. So we got her the girl action figure with the hair that you can style and stuff.
Yes.
And I don't think she really loved that like Barbies or I think Leia was kind of the outcast.
Or loved them like Amy Adams did. Loved them.
No. I love them, Jimmy Fallon. Damn you.
I love them.
So Amy, it comes from a legitimate place. She reveals she's been a Star Wars fan pretty much since day one back in the 70s. And she talks to Jimmy Fallon about her fandom.
I can't tell you anything. I just love the universe. It's like George Lucas and
George Lucas
it just
is a
opened
genius.
up my mind. You know, him and Steven Spielberg in the 70s when I was growing up. I just dated myself, but whatever.
Yeah.
And it opens your mind. They're so creative and like inspiring and good versus evil. And
But your daughter, who I love, by the way, who I've known since you were nice enough to come on our show probably 15 years ago, she was a baby.
She was a baby. She's 16 now, yeah.
Is that crazy?
I know.
I mean, I actually saw her as a baby.
I know.
But she went to the set and she's now interested in working?
Well, she's been coming with me to sets forever, but when she came on the Star Wars set, there was something about it that was just the same way it opened my imagination up, it opened her imagination up, and it's the first time in, at the time, 15 years that she's ever like, do you think I could have a career in film? Like, not necessarily in front of the camera, but like in some aspect. So I think it really struck her imagination. She
Just
wanted
how
to
much magic you can make in this
How much
business.
magic you can make, yeah.
So even like behind the scenes and like... Yeah.
Who knows? We'll see, yeah.
I know.
But it really got her thinking.
The magic of all the... I mean,
look at it.
Well, Star Wars has been inspiring creatives and careers in creative fields since day one, since it started out. So no surprise that a set visit from, an actress who's been prolific and done all kinds of work and stuff, and kids probably grown up on sets, but you go to a Star Wars movie and you go on that set and all of a sudden a whole new world opens up in front of your eyes. Pretty cool. For a 15, 16-year-old.
Well, I just love the power of Star Wars and its ability to really introduce people into potential filmmaking careers. We've heard, as you said, the stories from so many different creatives over the years about how Star Wars just really set them on that path.
Yeah.
And her daughter obviously has been exposed to filmmaking as a little kid, and Star Wars wasn't probably the first set she's ever been on.
Right.
I don't recall if Amy didn't say that in the interview, but
it was sort of implied, like, wow, for the first time.
Yeah, she was really into it.
Right.
And so it's just nice to hear that even like internally like production wise, it still is able to have that magic and be able to put that spell on a young person and open their eyes to a potential career as a filmmaker. So
yeah,
that's very cool. And that's something Star Wars has been doing forever. Speaking of Star Wars fans, Amy Adams, big Star Wars fan. But a name that NBA fans are definitely very familiar with at this point in time is Victor Wembanyama. Victor Wembanyama.
Glad you said that first. Now I know how to say it.
Well, it is kind of like how it's spelled.
Pretty phonetic.
Yeah. Wembanyama. And Victor is a superstar player. He's 7'4". He's one of the tallest guys in the game. He could slam dunk you and me, Swank, probably at the same time. He plays for the San Antonio Spurs, and he's playing in the NBA Finals against the Dark Side, New York Knicks. And Game 5 this Saturday. And a few things. Why am I talking about this? Well, a few things you need to know about Victor Wembanyama. He's a huge Star Wars fan. I mean, just a gigantic Star Wars fan.
Literally, there's a gigantic Star Wars fan.
Right. He's definitely primed to maybe even be the next Chewbacca. Who knows, after his career is over. During the prequels, George Lucas tapped into a lot of Australian basketball players to be featured as Wookiees in Revenge of the Sith. So history might repeat itself, and Victor might actually find himself wearing the yak fur and running around a soundstage, 15, 20 years from now. Who knows? But there's a great video of him out there. You can see it on Instagram. He's buying a signed and graded 1977 Luke Skywalker Topps card. And it's graded, it's got the.
So what explains the price? So what we do is what's difference?
So this is like at a card show.
So Harrison Ford, more rare, and then Mark Hamill. We got a first Darth Vader. I know you're rooting for the good guys, though. We don't want you rooting for the Empire, man. Who's your favorite Star Wars character? It's hard to say. All along this Star Wars will be him. He's Darth Vader.
Darth Vader.
Is it crazy? Yeah. I really love this one. I love it too, man. 3,000 though, I think it's a little expensive. I'm sure we can find a middle ground for sure. For you, how about 2,500? 2,500? All right, man. Yeah, I definitely got this one. All right, man. I appreciate it. That's dope, man.
So Victor, wheeling and dealing. That's what you do at those conventions. This must have been a Sunday. And, you always kind of work the dealer room over on Sunday because they don't want to pack all that stuff and take it back with them and get some deals. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Victor is the owner of a signed Luke Skywalker Topps card, signed and graded. That's why it was so expensive,
Yeah.
There's also a photo of him out there. He met Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen, and Rosario Dawson at an event called SpaceCon. But yeah, he stands several feet above Ewan, Hayden, and Rosario Dawson.
Yeah. Wow.
And following his first season in the NBA, he was gifted a pair of furry Chewbacca sneakers from Nike. They named him Wookiee of the Year. Because, he was Rookie of the Year, so they said he was Wookiee of the Year, and he was really geeked out by that, too. So he's a big Star Wars fan. Here's a clip of Victor talking about his top 3 Star Wars films.
Would you say you have a favorite movie or show?
Yeah. Star Wars is my thing, for sure. I know everything about
Do you have
Star
a ranking? Because this is going to be...
Sorry?
There's a lot of Star Wars fans. Do you have a top 3?
Movies?
Of Star Wars, yeah.
Yeah. First of all, when I say Star Wars, I don't count the 3 last. Yeah.
The 3 last what?
Movies. I'd say as a 2000s kids, I'm more of a prequel fan, even though I love the original trilogy. But my favorite is Revenge of the Sith, and my second favorite's got to be Attack of the Clones, and I'd say The Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, this is my top 3.
Solid list. Vic, wish you the best of luck.
I love Victor. And I think he's a great ball player, and I like his attitude and his style. But to say Attack of the Clones is your number 2, I'm going to call a personal foul on that.
Jimmy Max flopping right here after getting hit by Victor on the court with that episode 2. But he's like you said, Jim, he's a prequel kid, you know, but you know what's interesting though, and what I take almost as much umbrage with as the episode 2 being the number 2 is he loves the prequel so much. Where's the love for Phantom Menace? That film's fantastic. Everybody just gushes over Revenge of the Sith. I personally think that Phantom Menace is a better movie than Revenge of the Sith. I really do.
I've always placed the Phantom Menace at the top of my prequel appreciation list because I don't really rank them. I have an appreciation list. It's the prequel appreciation list. I try not to rank them because I think, you know, the whole idea of ranking the Star Wars films, I think, has this obsessive compulsive grip on some fans where they sit through new Star Wars stuff and all they can think about the whole time is where it fits on their ranking scale.
Right, yes.
And it's like, you know, it gets to a point where really just sucks the air out of the room. So I never have revealed any rankings, and I never will. So you can count on that.
But if you did, Phantom Menace is up there.
Phantom Menace is up very high on my prequel appreciation list because of what it represented to me as a moment in my life. Really? You know?
Yeah, right.
And it's just the hype and the excitement about that film coming back. It was just a really great time to be a Star Wars fan, and it was as disappointing as it is today to hear people really talk crap on the Mandalorian and Grogu. It was just as disappointing in 1999 when people really started taking pot shots at the Phantom Menace, and people were just peeing in the pool. Well, I'm not here to do that, and I'm not here also to say that the Phantom Menace nor the Mandalorian and Grogu are epic achievements in filmmaking. I mean, but they are definitely technical achievements of in a very profound way. But I mean, as far as like epic storytelling, you know, it's not like you're going to be talking about The Godfather, The Wizard of Oz, Ben-Hur, The Mandalorian and Grogu. It just doesn't fit in on that list. And we get that. We get that. And we want every Star Wars film to be one of those all-time classics. Just as badly as Victor Wembanyama wants to win the NBA Finals. And he's talking here to CNN on this next clip. He makes some sort of Star Wars reference while he's talking to CNN. What's this all about?
If you were to describe this next phase of your life as the title of a Star Wars movie, what would that be?
You
can't say Wemby Strikes Back.
No, The Force Awakens, you know.
Yeah.
The Force Awakens.
Why The Force Awakens?
You know, because it's, from my point of view, it's the beginning of my new life, and it's I'm trying to be as special as I can be, and you know, hopefully someday I'll make history.
Well said. Despite the fact that he didn't have a whole lot of love for the sequel trilogy, but in this moment, it's a good title. Hey, Force Awakens is a great title.
Sure, and it represents where he's at in his life. He believes that he is a force that is awakening. I am pulling for the Spurs because Victor is a Star Wars fan, plain and simple.
Chewie, get us out of here!
All right, that's going to wrap things up for us here this week on Rebel Force Radio. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us and talking the wars. We love it. There's always more wars, as we know, headed our way. Don't worry about what the reviews, the critics say, or what the box office is. Did you go? Did you have a good time? Did you get to introduce somebody, a loved one, a child, friend, family member to Star Wars in the theater for the first time? That's what it's all about. making memories. And as we said earlier in the show, go back, revisit these things. Did you love Maul, Shadow Lord? Go back and rewatch it. Remember why you liked it so much. Even the stuff that you weren't wild about, give it another go. See if you were seeing it for what it is at the time. I'll bet you weren't. If you're like us, maybe you weren't seeing it. So anyway, there's a lot of ways to fill in the gaps as we're waiting for more Star Wars. And I honestly think some of that gap filling is part of what made us such big fans back in the day, and is what has propelled us to love Star Wars so much. So it's worth doing. If you need more Rebel Force Radio in your life, and why wouldn't you? As we said, Patreon is the way to do it. Go to patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio. You get weekly full show video of the weekly podcast, in addition to exclusive podcasts that you can't find anywhere else. You heard Mac talking about them earlier in the show. And it is a great community of Star Wars fans that love to talk about Star Wars the way we talk about Star Wars right here on the podcast. So if you want to hang out with other like-minded folks that just want to talk about Star Wars on the merits of being Star Wars, that's the place to do it. You can also find us on YouTube. A lot of our interview highlights and show highlights, as well as all of our after shows, going back every Disney Plus series, the releases of all the films and all that stuff. That immediate reaction is all available for you on YouTube, so go check it out, youtube.com/Rebel Force Radio. We're on the socials. You can catch us on Instagram and Facebook and X and wherever, I don't know, whatever Max got on his phone, whatever is open right there. He's going to go in there and put it on there for you.
OnlyFans.
And the official website for all things and everything. Yeah, those Star Puffs and those Princess Leia dolls. Wow. The official website for everything and all things, Rebel Force Radio, rebelforceradio.com. So please continue to do what you're doing right now, supporting the show, listening to it, and as Star Wars continues to regain its foothold in popular culture, be sure to let your friends, your family members know about this podcast and recommend it to them. We love that very much. And if you can subscribe via your podcatcher of choice, please do so. If you can leave us a review, we love those reviews. They help us out a lot. Please drop one, but just one small, simple rule, please.
Make them good.
And that'll do it for us this week. We will see you next week for more Rebel Force Radio. Hope you're having the start of a great summer. And we'll see you next time. For Rebel Force Radio, I'm Jason.
I'm Jimmy Mac.
And remember,
the Force will be with you, always.
I love them.